Welcome back to Citizen Extra. At this time, we want to switch gears and focus on the Commonwealth Games, the recently concluded Commonwealth Games, and take a look at some of the results and to refresh your memory in terms of what happened. So I beg your pardon for that. One of my guests has just stepped out. He'll be joining us shortly. That's Athletics Kenya President, Lieutenant General retired Jackson Tuwei, and he says it's an urgent phone call he needs to take, and we will carry on with that interview shortly. But nevertheless, this is how Kenya performed at the Commonwealth Games in 2010, 2014 and 2018. Let's have those up on the screen. All right, so in 2010, we had 12 gold medals, 11 silver and 9 bronze. In 2014, it was 10 gold medals, 10 silver, and that should be 5 bronze. But now let's look at 2018. 4 gold medals, 7 silver and 6 bronze. A big drop from what we had seen in the past. So let's take a look at individual performances comparing 2014 and 2018. Where did we do well? In the men's 1500 meters, we retained the gold. 3000 meters steeplechase, retained the gold. Women's 5000 meters, retained the gold. Men's 800 meters did one better. What David Rudisha could not do in 2014, Wycliffe Kinyamal did in 2018 and brought that gold home. But this is the only good news. Let's take a look at some of the other performances. Coming up on your screen. When it comes to women's 1500 meters, we dropped from gold to silver. Men's 5000 meters from gold to bronze. Women's 10,000 meters from gold to silver. Women's 3000 meters steeplechase from gold to silver. But at least we had some silverware in that. Let's take a look at the final slide there. Should be coming up in the women's 800 meters, gold to silver. In the women's marathon, no medal. Men's javelin, no medal, just to name a few. That is how it happened during the just concluded Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast. Joining me in studio to talk a little about this, you've already seen, and I've introduced once again Athletics Kenya President, Lieutenant General retired Jackson Tuwei. Welcome to the program, Mr. President. Thank you very much. Muturi Mutuota, a familiar face in this studio. We've hosted him here before a couple of times. He's a senior sports editor. Welcome to the program as well, Muturi. Thank you, Ahika. Let me start with you, Mr. President. Your thoughts on the Commonwealth Games. Kenyans surprised that this time round, whereas Kenya flawlessly, easily, comes home with many medals, this time it seemed to be quite a struggle. At some point, people were offering prayers that Kenya needs more than just talent in this. We need divine support. What, in your view, happened this time round?
Thank you, Wahiga. Allow me, first of all, to start from the beginning of the year and the events that took place. Of course, I cannot talk about the whole Commonwealth, all the Commonwealth Games, because that was under a different
and I want to let our viewers know that we had extended an invitation to the sports PS, Ambassador Kaberia, to join us on the program, and also to NOC President Paul Terga to join us as well, and they both, we were not able to reach them, rather to get them here, so we will limit our conversation to what my two guests here are able to speak about. Go ahead, Mr. President.
So I therefore can only talk about athletics, because I cannot talk about the other federations and the others. Okay. I would not want to go into that because I was really not involved in that. So in terms of athletics, we started the year with a lot of programs. We had 4 major programs at the beginning of the year, because first of all, we had to start preparing for the African Cross-Country Championships, which was going to take place in Glef, Algeria. We also had to prepare a team that was going to take part in the World Indoor Championships in Birmingham, United Kingdom. At the same time, we had to prepare another team to go and take part in the World Half Marathon in Valencia, Spain. And then finally, at the same time, we also had to prepare the Commonwealth team that was going to compete in Gold Coast, Australia. So in that program, therefore, we were very busy, and you see, we are depending on almost the same athletes to go and do the job. So first of all, the African Cross Country Championships, we of course won all the categories apart from the relay, the 4 categories and individuals. So we won the overall cup. And that was a very encouraging thing from Algeria. The World Indoor, the teams that went there, the teams that were going to compete in the World Indoor had requested that they should not be included in any other program because they were preparing for that. Apart from Helen Obiri, who had also requested not to be included in the cross country, but included in the Commonwealth Games. So you can see we had to balance all this. And that balancing, you have to consider the performance and the training of the athlete. Because if one athlete is going to do all the events, obviously you don't expect that to happen.
They won't be able to make it.
So therefore we had to balance and say who does what. And in that balancing, we have to involve the athletes and discuss, say what would be comfortable for you, so that you can do well. Because we also want to see them running comfortably, happily, and winning. So a few of them, Conseslus Bruto, for example, requested just to go for the Commonwealth and nothing else. Other top athletes, for example, requested not to be included in any of them.
At all?
At all.
Did they give their reasons? Or?
Because Commonwealth Games came at a very different time this period. Commonwealth normally comes in August, September. All the years. This was the second time that the Commonwealth was coming up in April. So the season, according to the athletes, the season was too early to pick, to train, and to organize themselves in terms of those competitions and the Diamond League and the marathons. So you see, all those things were clumped together. That is why they requested that they are given maybe a chance to prepare for other things. So really, we just have to listen to them. That is, maybe I can say that this at least as an opening remark.
We need to be ready to listen to our athletes when they make such requests. Muturi, come in. I know you have shared in WhatsApp groups that I am a part of your thoughts on what may have gone wrong at the Commonwealth Games.
One thing is the Commonwealth Games of 2018 taught us that as a country we need to change the way we look and prepare for sporting events. The General has said that they came in April, but the dates for the Commonwealth Game were known like 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 after the Scotland edition. The
2014 one.
2014. Mm-hmm. So we knew that these Commonwealth Games would be in April.
It was not a surprise.
It was not a surprise. So what we needed to do at that time, what went wrong is we took a team we took about 178 competitors or so. But out of the 178 competitors, we only had about 17 medley. Whatever way you look at that, that's a very poor ratio in terms of participation vis-a-vis the, and you know, the cost.
Investment.
Yes, and the investment. So it was the first time for Mr. Tergat to go out with that Kenyan team as the president of NOC, having won the elections sometime in mid last year. So it was, when he took office, he said that he will try to expand the medal bracket from track and field or from athletics and try to encompass other sports. But when he was in Gold Coast, he must have learned now what it will take for us to become a sporting powerhouse at Tokyo 2020. True, our athletes may have not brought the performance that we expected from them. But as a nation, we cannot rely on just athletics alone. Look at 2010, for example. We topped the African charts, not just the track and field charts. We topped the African charts with 12 gold medals, where Danford, of course, won the famous gold medal in the 50 meters freestyle. In 2014, we were the top nation in athletics, in the whole competition. This year, we were 3rd in Africa and 23rd overall. I think 17th overall, if I'm not mistaken. So it shows that we are continuing doing what we've done many years for many years. Other nations like South Africa, Nigeria, they are branching out. The Commonwealth Games this time taught us, for example, a Jamaican won the steeplechase. Whatever we can say or whatever excuse we can offer, you cannot expect a Jamaican to beat 2 Kenyans in the steeplechase. In the marathon, our top finisher was number 9. When you look at boxing, only a first-timer brought a medal home. That is Caroline. She brought the bronze.
Yes.
We had people who had gone to 3 Commonwealth Games, people like Benson Gesharo, people like Nikoko, they had gone there for the 3rd Games. Swimming, we did not even feature at all in any final. Round bowls, the same thing. Weightlifting, the same thing. So there is something we are not doing right. And it's time we rewired the way we prepare for these events, knowing that the next event, we already know the dates, we already know the city it is going to be held. So we should start planning now. If it's going to be held during summer, we can know, maybe, for example, like General is saying, we can have our top athletes. If it is people like boxing and all that, we should have a 4-year program that continues to revolve. Because we saw South Africa topping the charts. They won medals in everything. Track and field, they won in swimming, they won in weightlifting. They had medals in boxing. And you know, as far as Kenya is concerned at the Commonwealth, the only 2 sports that have ever brought medals, actually there are 3, it's athletics, boxing, and swimming. Yet we took 15 disciplines. And sometimes we even take up to 16, including our rugby sevens team. For the first time, Shujaa were outperformed by the Lionesses. The Lionesses finished 6th, the Shujaa finished 8th. So there is something that about the class of Gold Coast 2018 that was not right.
There was Mr. President, let me come back to you. Muturi has raised very interesting points, but the message I'm hearing from him is planning. Why are we not planning, or why does it look like we are not planning when it comes to these events? We have a calendar, you know, given to us 5-6 years in advance, sometimes 4 years, which is adequate time. Where do we go wrong in this?
Well, once again, let me say that I'm talking on behalf of athletics. Let me not talk about
all these
I hope you'll excuse me for on
that's
on,
right.
On that.
It's only fair that we.
Yeah. So in terms of planning, yes, in athletics we plan according to the events that are there. And as we plan according to the calendar of events, according to the International Federation's calendar of events. Every 2 years we have World Championships. Every 2 years we have the next 2 years we have African Games, African Championships. The next time we have Commonwealth. The next time we have Olympics. So every year we have at least a major championship, and that is how we progress towards some of these championships. In this particular case, we knew that the Commonwealth was going to be there and coming early. But again, the other programs, for example, did not change their timelines. We expected, for example, the World Indoor or World Half Marathon, after knowing that the Commonwealth was going to come early, then maybe it could have been adjusted. We actually asked why they were not adjusted, because you are talking about the same athletes everywhere. Look at this lady who won from Uganda 10,000 meters. She was running world mountain running last year, and she won. You see, so now from world mountain running she comes and runs this one, and now she is preparing for the African Championship. You see, athletes must be given an opportunity to rest. They must go and plan. They must go and do their own other issues and so forth and so on. Look at our case, for example, and I'm happy that my colleague here talked about steeplechase, for example, and even javelin you talked about and so on. Look at steeplechase. Our girl was going to win, Jeptek. But I don't know how many people know that she actually got injured on the last water jump, and she almost stopped. I'm sure you all saw that she almost stopped. But because of her interest and her integrity of sport and for this country, she had to continue, and she brought us a silver. We must congratulate her. Immediately after that, she was taken for MRI, and there was actually an injury on the ankle, and she was treated for this. So we should be able to sympathize with a girl like that, who actually put everything to the sport, to the event, and brought us a silver. But instead of that, we are saying we lost to a Jamaican. Of course, what did we expect to? I mean, because our girl got injured, what did we?
No miracle was going to happen there.
No miracle there. So it's unfortunate, but you could see she was ahead and she was doing well. She had just come from Algeria, where she won the senior women's cross-country championships, 10 kilometers, and she brought us a gold medal there. So really. Sometimes I think maybe we pushed too much. Javelin, we took the best, and we have the best. Julius Diego, maybe it was not his day. I'm sure he did not just go to participate. He wanted to go and bring a gold medal for this country. But again, maybe we need to understand, what would have happened and that kind of thing. 400 meters hurdles, we had the world champion.
We did,
and so forth and so on. So we had very good athletes.
And you also understand why Kenyans are surprised, because you're right. In some of those disciplines, we took the best
absolutely
that we had. So
in terms of marathon, we had selected 8 marathoners, very good marathoners. 2 of them pulled out. And Wahiga, when an athlete requests to go for a different program, you cannot force an athlete to go for this other program, because even if you force, you can take a cow to the river,
but you can't force it.
But you can't force it to drink water. We you remember in the past, in 2015 World Championships, we took the world record holder, we took the former world record holder in marathon, and another one who was a very good. 3 top marathoners. 2 of them did not finish. The first finisher was number 22.
Do we need to improve our incentive then for such games?
Exactly. I think maybe that is what we need to look at. Remember also in the Commonwealth, they don't give any cash prizes, just like other places. So those are the areas maybe we need to look at. And therefore, in our case, I think our motivation of athletes is key. Let us all look at how we can motivate our athletes, how we can appreciate them. Any athlete who has brought bronze, let us appreciate. Bronze is a medal. There are countries that came that don't win even a single thing. But you know, we seem to be saying no. If you don't bring a gold,
we wouldn't care.
We wouldn't care. But
that's what the only medal in Kenya is a gold medal. Mutui, let me come back to you. I think we are a week and a half after the Commonwealth Games, if not 2 weeks.
Yes.
Are you concerned that there has been no call for a conference to discuss what went wrong by the sports ministry? What do you think the sports CS should be focusing on at this moment? I wouldn't be surprised to hear he's watching this program. If he is, what would you tell him?
I'll tell Mr. Chesa this. Him and his senior members, they spent almost all the time at Gold Coast. The same thing they did his predecessor. They spent time at the Rio Olympics. Every time we have a sporting event, we see all government officials, especially the ministry, go on what they call benchmarking or whatever you want to call it. But every time we come, since London 2012, when there was the first probe, then Rio 2016,
first fiasco.
Yes, we did the same thing. And now, Gold Coast 2018. We always have officials traveling to these games, and we never see people sitting back and trying to review the performance, on trying to put strategies in place. For example, I was watching the new South African sports minister explaining to a committee of parliament, we were given this amount of million rand, and this is what we brought. She was trying to justify the money that was put by the state by saying that, yes, we topped Africa. Not only did we win medals where in our traditional, let's say, sports, they also branched out things like weightlifting and boxing. We need to put these federations to task because we are investing taxpayers' money. So I hope by the time we prepare for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, from now, we should not wait until 1 month to when athletics hold their trials, or we don't have boxers who have qualified and so many other things, so that now we can start putting arrangements in place. My friend, Mr. General, when we talk about we have a pool of elite athletes, and we know these people, we should sound them out. For example, if we are talking about Tokyo 2020, we should not wait until 2019, in the fall of 2019, to sound them out. Let us try to sound them out right now.
Start talking to them.
Yes. I remember, was it 2015 Beijing, when they did 2 trials. One team went to the World Championship, the other one went to Africa. And both of them returned with victory. So those are the kind of things we should be doing, knowing that, yes, we can have the cream, and we can have those below, and those below the cream can actually go and do the job. So Mr. Chesa and his technocrats in the ministry, P.S. Kaberia, who is in charge of sports, and many other officials who spent about 3 weeks in Gold Coast, I'm eagerly waiting to see what is the report, what will be the recommendations. Where did we go wrong, for example, in weightlifting? Where did we go wrong with powerlifting? Where did we go wrong in boxing? Because we cannot be, every time we come and we are told, okay, we tried our best. Our best is simply not good enough in this, at this juncture. And if we don't do anything right now, the Olympics will be worse. And that means we are overburdening athletics, for example,
to be the only ones that
are bringing medals to this country.
Mr. President, are you concerned with the rise in performance of other nations as you go around the world? Of course, as part of your activities, what are you seeing other nations doing that is it worrying you You know, when we talk about Uganda, 3 gold medals that
yes.
Kenyans say should have been ours as well. When you look at Jamaica, when you look at the likes of Mo Farah, who are really picking up in the marathon, and with the kind of training he receives in the United Kingdom, does that concern you?
Of course, it concerns us, because you see that a lot of countries have actually encroached on our traditional events, for example. And I think we also need to reciprocate by doing the same.
I think that's the right word.
And in this particular case, we are actually thinking of having a camp. Because if you look at South Africa, for example, which has done extremely well in terms of their events and others, and other groups like Jamaica, as you said, America, of course, and others, they have got special camps where they guide the athletes, they talk to them, they train, they you know, everything is covered in terms of changing the technique and looking at all those kind of things. And this is something that maybe we are actually looking at it very seriously. In fact, we in athletics, we have drafted a plan which we want to give to the ministry, so that we work together as a team and see that we actually put up a camp, not only now, but every now and then. So for even those who are coming up, the new talents, you know, you must take them through, and not just running, and not just the technique, even things to do with drugs, even things to do with anti-doping, you know, things to do with normal lifestyle, things to do with investment, things to do with integrity, you know, all those all the subjects. Mm-hmm. So it's not just running, you know, it is a whole lot of issues and programs.
Could we see a situation in the next 2-3 years where a majority of the senior elite athletes that we have relied on either retire or move to other races, and we haven't quite prepared for them? When I look at the likes of Ezekiel Kemboi, when I look at the likes of David Rudisha, I ask myself, post-2020, can we rely on those athletes? If not, and it's a situation we're seeing in the sevens team as well, where the Collins Injeras and the like are also at that phase where any minute they could announce we are done, and that's a question we've been asking them. But on the athletics front, how prepared are we for the eventual exit of people of that caliber who have, you know, held the fort down for, what, 10 years, the likes of Kemboi, for example?
Thank you, Waiga. In fact, you are talking about post-2020.
Yes.
We have actually started. If you, in fact, I was going to talk about that.
Go ahead.
Because in the Commonwealth team, you see, we took three categories of athletes. We took the elite, the top. We took the second tier, the ones who are supposed to be now the kind of junior, and they are coming up. And we took also the youth. If you see, somebody like the fellow who gave us bronze in 5,000 meters. He was in the World Under 18 last year, where he won, and this time now we are bringing up to the next level. And the Kenya Mal, for example, who won 800 meters. You see, we were getting worried that if Rudisha leaves, whom do we have to take over from him? But you see, we already have somebody. So we are actually bringing in the junior team, the youth team, so that we have got a feeder. We must feed the senior, and by feeding the senior, we must have these people. And when you take the junior or the youth, you must expose them, so that they get the confidence, they get to understand what is international sport, what are the tactics people use in major championships. Because unless they get that and they get the confidence to actually compete in major world championships, then they will not compete in the Olympics, for example. So you must expose them, you must give them the experience, you must give them the knowledge on how to do some of this. So that is what we did, and we are already thinking about that. You have talked about Ezekiel Kemboi. You have seen how we have brought in Conceição Kibruto and the other. Remember that we got 1, 2, and 3. So already we are looking at how to progress on that line and replace those who are there. Ezekiel Kemboi has done tremendous work for this country, and we need to look back and say, what do we do next? And the rest. So we are already looking at those. You're already looking at
post-2020.
But allow me also to talk about the planning.
Okay.
Planning for the Commonwealth Games. Again, this time round, I must say, it was much better than the Rio Olympics. The planning The planning was much better because we had steering committee where we attended all the meetings. It was chaired by the PS. Of course, the CS came later on when these things were coming, when he was appointed. But I want to say that the team we have in the ministry now, in my view, the little I have seen since they came in, is a much better team than what we had in.
Are the wrangles a thing of the past?
Those
Knock,
things.
AK, ministry, backpassing that we did see.
And I think the CS, the PS have got, they really have sport at heart, if I may put it that way, because anytime we discuss an issue, they are willing to help. Knock, AK, and so forth, I have assured, and I have kept talking about this, even in my meeting, even yesterday, and I say we need to support Knock by all means. We need to work together because a strong Knock will be a strong AK. A strong AK will be a strong Knock and a strong other federations. We need to work together. Let us avoid wrangles. Let us avoid differences because we can come to, after all, we are all Kenyans. Let us come together and around the table and see what is ailing us. What is the problem? How can we solve it?
Okay. Mutwiri, I'm sure you have some thoughts.
Yes. My biggest thoughts is this is General and many other federations, they will try and plan. I think the biggest shortfall we have is something called funding. Some time ago, when the Sports Act of 2013 was passed into law, they established a sports fund. This is where the government was supposed to collect money through maybe a sports rotary or other means, and now fund the camps General Tuwei is talking about. But so far, we have not seen anything on the ground to suggest that the sport fund has taken off. The beauty about athletics, for example, especially distance running, is that we are blessed with good terrain, high altitude, and things like that come naturally. But in other sports, for example, like weightlifting, boxing, lawn tennis, table tennis, you need a lot of investment in terms of facilities, in terms of even keeping those athletes or the sportsmen in camp and giving them a livelihood. The idea of establishing a sports rotary, and I remember retired President Kibaki, every time we would go for a function at State House, we talk about the sports rotary. The idea of the sports rotary was to stop people like, for example, people like Elizabeth and Diego, the boxer, from going to work during the day and then to have very little time to train. We give them a stipend so that they can continue preparing for those games. This is what CSHSA should follow through. We saw what happened in the country sometime at the beginning of the year, where some investors were told go and then they come back. The thing is, until we unlock the funding, we will talk about camps, we will talk about so many other things, but without the money, without giving this, for example, how do I convince an athlete to forego a Diamond League meeting, where even if they finish number 7, they are assured of about, is it $8,000?
Something like that.
And then I tell that's about 80,000 shillings. How do I tell an athlete to not go to a Diamond League meeting and to stay in my camp so that we can prepare for the 2020 Olympics? So we need to do this. And this is what happens in countries like Britain and all that. They have a system where they put the athletes on funding, even in South Africa. And you can see how they are doing well, not even at the Commonwealth, but any other things they take part in. Rugby World Cup, mention it. It's because you have to back your plans with the money. And this is where we need a multi-sectoral approach. It should not just be about, we know people always say it's federations, then others say it's government, others say it's private sector. We should all sit down and see where do we get funding from these sports. And for example, when we talked about in January, we were told our stadiums would be ready by April. Then they were said, no, they will be ready by May. Now we're almost in June. And we know the budget, the supplementary budget has reduced funding to sports, for example.
Exactly. So it's going from bad to worse.
So we need to find out where do we get this money and actualize the sports fund. Everything, if you look at the documentation, everything is perfect. But how do we get it? How do we get, for example, one of the biggest problems you have in Kenyan sport, corporate apathy to sport, where you only have a few names getting involved in the sport. How do we convince other people to not just come to sports when people win gold medals, and that is when they call General's office and
they want to sponsor and they want to take the athletes on a road show.
We want to do road shows and stuff like that. So we need to think.
Optical fibers are difficult to tap. as they do not radiate electromagnetic energy emissions, thus cannot be intercepted easily.
25 Mbps for only 15,000 Kenya shillings. Fiber is now upgraded to 5 times the speed with speeds of up to 1,000 Mbps. Hakuna kitu wezi fanya.
What's the meaning of this? Baby, what's going on? I will not do it. Then prepare to leave my house.
Hey! This love they get part 3 and 4.
It will not work. Oh. Hey! Enough of this insult.
Mama G for general.
I denounce all of them! Listen to yourself. Huh? Hey, go to Pam.
Watch the best of Afro cinema on Citizen Television.
Wakati wa Mungu ni kama upepo mkali, mlango huwezi kuzuia.
Join Enid, Andy and Ken the DJ this Sunday for the very best there is in praise and worship as we focus on the topic godly stewardship. Also stand by for Rauka Kids with Auntie Trisha, Sunday Talk and Rauka Challenge as voted by you on 22422 and all social media platforms. Join us for a wonderful live church service at Loyalty House International, Nairobi. Catch Timeless Noel, Kambua, DJ Gigi and Holy Dave for fantastic back to school edition as we dedicate all Kenyan students to the Lord as they go back to school. Also watch out for Bambika Top 3, Word Check and Bambika Wall. Gospel Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. only on Citizen Television.
Hey, don't speak to us like that. I'll speak to you as I please. I'm the queen, so obey me. No, we won't. Hey! Let's talk it!
You are mine!
Leave her alone, you coward!
Mind your own business, because I can make life even harder for you.
What are you going to do to me? Hit me?
What do you want with my son?
Of sports, and this is what we are. It is linked to the question that you are asking. This is what we are pushing for now. Because first of all, there are some athletes, for example, who have not been paid for a while, and the president had ordered quite some times back that all athletes who go for the international meets, they win medals and so forth and so on, they must be paid. That is, first of all, that's what we are pushing for. So that even as we are talking about the sports fund and the lottery and so on, let us first of all commit ourselves to what we promised.
To clear debts.
To clear the debts. So that is what we are pushing. So that at least the athletes can also see, yes, there's something being done.
What does the sports ministry tell you when you ask them about?
No, but that's why I was saying, at least, because when I have talked to the CS, the PS, and they have because I have given them the list and everything else, they have also pushed that list now to the Parliamentary Committee on Sports, Tourism and Culture.
Okay.
In fact, the other day,
it's not them to just write a check. I thought they should just write a check.
So you see, it also depends on the availability of funds and what they have as a ministry.
Okay.
What is allocated to the ministry. If it does not meet that, then they have to go to the next stage. And I'm happy at least now I can see some action that being done. I believe, and I believe seriously that maybe in the next few months we should be able to see athletes being paid. For example, the athletes. I can
hear athletes celebrating across the country watching this broadcast. Sorry, carry on.
The athletes who won medals, for example, the 16 medals that were brought by athletics from Gold Coast, they have all been paid.
Oh, they've all been paid?
Yeah, they have all been paid. Okay. That's why I'm saying there is some progress. There is some, you can see some light at the end of the tunnel. There is something happening. The list that of the athletes that have not been paid since 2010, 2011 up to today, there is also something happening. And so I really hope that the new CS and the PS will be able to assist and move to that. The plan of improving our participation and our medal standings. I just mentioned about a camp. See, we did not win any medal in sprints, for example, and field events. This is an area where we want to target and say we establish a camp for those two, first of all, before we do anything else. And this is what I presented the ministry, and I hope we get the funding.
Yes.
Because again, it goes with the funding.